Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Therapy, Etc. I have another guest today. We're going to be having a interesting conversation about his experience in music, and I really want us to be able to talk a little bit more about mental health in music and how that really inspires and motivates us. Our guest today, his name is Erick Sanchez, but I will have him introduce himself and share a little bit more about him and what he does. So, let me get him in here. Hello, hello.
Hey, what's up?
Welcome.
You caught me on Instagram.
Oh, what are you browsing?
I don't know, I didn't load fast enough.
You want me to give you a moment?
No. Yeah.
Thank you for being here. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I just had a cup of coffee, so I got a nice extra midday jolt, end of day jolt, whatever you want to call it.
So, are you like a dark roast, mild? What's your preferred?
I don't know. I think I like a mid or like mild, I guess you would call it, but I always have a little bit of something. I don't put sugar, but it's either like almond milk, whole milk. I can't say I'm a fan of oat milk though. I know that's the
Uh-huh.
rave.
Well, I appreciate you being here. Um, and so I just kind of shared a little bit about you, but I want you to introduce yourself and let us know a little bit about what it is that you do.
My name is Erick Sanchez. I'm in Los Angeles. This is kind of an interesting way to answer, but I have a record company called Normandie Records. But like, I don't know if that really defines everything that I do. So what I tell people is that I'm kind of a producer, but then that also confuses people because they think I'm like a music producer. But I mean producer in the sense of like I just produce like campaigns and releases and I help in the production process and produce content and documentaries all within Normandy Records, which is my company.
Mhm.
So I feel like that's kind of the best way to describe what I do.
Oh,
Very involved
interesting.
with the artist. You know.
Got it. So not just music, but kind of like various realms within the industry, entertainment industry, I would say.
Well, it's primarily music. It all
Okay.
comes from music, and then it just kind of music nowadays impacts almost every element of entertainment. So that's
Got it. Got it. So what was your inspiration behind even doing this? Where did this come from?
oh boy.
A whole episode on this.
No, I mean
Multiple.
there's a so I grew up in South Central, right? And like at the time, a lot of the music that was very popular, like worldwide, was the music that was happening in like my backyard, like literally. And
Ah,
um, I guess like at that age, you probably subconsciously start seeing the value of storytelling and entertainment and how intellectual property and your experience can be something. But obviously, I'm a child, so it doesn't really add up. But I always feel like that's an influence, whether I knew it or not. Um,
mhm.
but I think the point where music became a part of my life in a big way was when I was 12. My older one, I have two older brothers. One of my brothers asked my father for a guitar, just randomly. I don't even remember. And my father was kind enough to say, "Well, if I get you a guitar, then I have to get Eric a bass." And yes, I'm the youngest of four, so I benefited from all that.
Uh-huh.
I had no interest at the time, right? But I just always remember this one particular moment where I was going to bed. It was really late, and my brother was up practicing his guitar, and he was playing "Mary Had a Little Lamb," which is very beginners, right? And I remember thinking
Uh-huh.
like there were some times where he got it, and there were some times where he totally bombed it. But then there were other times where he got further ahead. So I was like, there's an element of like work here. There's an element of
Mm,
like there's a variable of like effort that I wasn't aware
mhm.
of. So like that following week, I at school I went to a performing arts school and I asked my music teacher. His name is Mr. Venz, Stephen Venz actually, and I was like, hey, I have a bass. I don't know how to play it. Could you please teach me how to play it? And he was like, well, who do you have sixth period? I said, I have theater. He said, cool, I'll bring you on. And then I learned how to play an instrument. And ever since then, it's kind of have kind of been sold on music as being part of my life. You know?
Wow. That's pretty cool. So it kind of came from your brother wanting a guitar, and that kind of inspired this whole other way of looking at music.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, again, I was very fortunate to go to a school that had a music program. I think that's
Mhm.
not common anymore, unfortunately. So I'm
Mhm.
very grateful for that, to have access to that. And
Mhm.
it's like when I first heard all the instruments playing together at the age of what, 12? I don't know. I felt something in my brain, and I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like something just got unlocked. And it just, I don't know.
Mhm.
I've just been searching for it ever since, I guess.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting that so the first I don't play any instruments, but the only I don't, is it an instrument? I don't know. I guess maybe. The first type of instrument that I've ever played was the recorder.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
was I was in third grade, and they taught us how to play the recorder, one song, and I still remember that one song. Isn't that
What song
crazy?
was
I don't know what it's called, but I know how to play it. Like
it?
I know how to move my fingers to play the sounds that they wanted us to play.
Yeah, yeah. I think we
So
all start
crazy.
with the recorder.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, prior to that, I played the clarinet, but I had no like passion for it. I did it because it was a class I had to take.
I
Um,
see.
but yeah, the recorder is very important.
It's like beginning stages.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah.
So you had mentioned that growing up in South Central, you were like kind of like you saw music in your backyard. What were some of those artists or influences that were around?
This was like in the '90s, where it was like the death row era with like Snoop, Dre, Corrupt, the Dog Pound, DJ
Mm-hmm.
Quick, Mac 10, that whole West Side Connection, Cube. I
Mm-hmm.
had obviously influence from like East Coast, like Nas and things like that, and Jay Z,
Mm-hmm.
but it was the storytelling that was going on. Like I remember when Backyard Boogie by Mac 10 came out, and I was like, wow, like this is like literally what happens. That's very interesting. Like how that can be mainstream culture, but
Yeah.
yet be very um complex at the same time. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So then now as you started getting older, um, and you started thinking about music in this way, were you always doing music this whole time? Was it always kind of like in the background of everything that you were doing?
Yeah. Yeah. It
Or
was I started a I started a band with my two best friends shortly after seventh grade. It was interesting because at 13, like you have a couple of choices. You can either get into trouble or just be a child. I chose neither. I didn't choose. I chose something completely different, and that kind of, I think, sparked the interest in the business side of music. At 13, the internet was very young.
Mhm.
um, my oldest brother, I guess my brothers played a big role in this. Now that I think about it, my oldest brother had a
Yeah.
laptop because he had just finished college, and I would
Uh-huh.
just go on like GeoCities, or I'm sorry, like Ask Jeeves or something, and I would search
Uh-huh.
venues that would allow us to perform, and I would call them, and they would laugh at me because I'm 13, and
Oh, wow. This started very young calling these places and stuff.
yeah, yeah, it was very awkward because the websites weren't websites like the websites that we see now. They were very poorly made, and
Mhm.
search engines weren't as precise. So it was like
Mhm.
a real rabbit hole of finding these things. And there were many venues back then. Not many were
Mhm.
all ages. So it was just a very interesting thing. And I was able to focus my academic studies on music.
Mhm.
I'm stubborn, so I was gonna do it anyway. Um, and yeah, so it's just always been there.
So
Yeah.
I always hear that the music industry, even like with people that I work with, that they're trying to get in, whether it be through like various venues, not necessarily as artists or performers, but like the PR of it or the marketing piece, etc. So, what are some of the and they've shared that it's very challenging and not a lot of callbacks, very small industry. What are some of the challenges that you've noticed for yourself as you're
Mm.
in this space?
Um, that's very interesting. All those things you said are absolutely correct, and your friends or colleagues are 100% spot on. I think there are a few perspectives on this. One that I live and one that I'm familiar with. Um, I'll start with the artist side, which is what I'm mostly what's what I'm familiar with, but I don't live because I'm not
Mm-hmm.
an artist.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think when you're an artist, when you decide that you're gonna embark on this creative journey or whatever you want to call it, you kind of forget because you're so passionate, because you're so dedicated to
Yeah.
achieving whatever goal it is you have. Uh, you often forget that this is an area, an industry, a path, whatever you want to call it, that's like oftentimes misunderstood, um,
Mm-hmm.
like overly criticized, and I would even dare say ridiculed at this point in 2021 because the barriers are so low. And,
Mm-hmm.
that alone should deter many people from doing it, but it doesn't, right? So
Right.
then you
Right.
enter into this journey as an artist, and in order for you to reach some level of return or success, there's a level of vulnerability that is required, right? Not always, but oftentimes that's the case.
Mm-hmm.
So you're entering into this like very difficult path where you have to expose yourself, you have to make yourself vulnerable, and the
Mm-hmm.
issue comes when you don't see the success that you expected, right?
Yeah.
Oftentimes our expectations are based on outliers in music, in the music industry,
Mm-hmm.
and that could be a very difficult thing to deal with. I
Yeah.
know many people, artists, um, I don't like to call them failed artists because I don't think that's I in my heart I don't feel that's how it works, but if we're going off industry metrics or whatever, we can refer to them as that, but that have a hard time like accepting that maybe their expectations are not aligned, their format or their strategy is not the right one, and it's very
Mm-hmm.
challenging because it's so passion driven, right? So I feel for artists a lot. I love artists, I admire artists, I think we
Mm-hmm.
need artists in this world, which is why I
Mm-hmm.
do what I do, and which is why I am so involved with the artist path because of that reason, because I understand that and I'm familiar with it, and I want to avoid that level of disappointment is a heavy word, right? But for lack of a better word for that.
Mm-hmm.
But on the
Mm-hmm.
business side, which is what I live more, it's essentially now an entrepreneurial endeavor, right? It's an entrepreneurial path, or like lifestyle, or at the very least, you have to acknowledge the entrepreneurial elements that are required to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that again, very similar to the artist, is very misunderstood. It's very almost over glorified, um,
Mm-hmm.
like completely like expectations are all out of whack, and like your friend said, you have to know how to take the no's. You're gonna get 90
Yeah.
no's before you get one yes,
Right.
and it's difficult. You have to love it. You have to understand why you do it,
Yeah.
and you have to be. There's a lot of things that you have to be, but I think if you don't love it, then you probably won't be able to get through the difficult parts. So those are some of
Yeah.
the things I see. Um,
Well, with all of that, how do you stay motivated? Because I could just imagine hearing no's all the time, and that breaks down your self-esteem. Like I just imagine myself kind of being in these spaces, and I can imagine being like, all right, I'm gonna keep on pushing, and then we get to this place where it's like, am I not good enough? Like this,
right.
like, am I meant for this? Maybe this isn't my path.
Yeah.
Like, how do you manage maybe do you notice any of these feelings?
Um, no, not anymore. Not anymore.
Okay.
Not anymore. I think when I first started, and I don't know when you would determine that, right? But um, uh, I there was probably one time that I can think of where I'm just like, I can't do this, right? Because it was just a very challenging time. But I remind myself of why I'm even doing this, right? Like, and what I ultimately want to achieve, and like what I'm gonna be happy with in life. Like I love
Mhm.
being in the trenches with artists. I love
Mhm.
figuring it out with artists. I love teaching artists. I
Mhm.
love um I love helping them get to the next level, whatever level that is, and I make sure that within the structure of the company that those expectations are realistic. And I love that. I kind of I probably never said this, but I kind of run it like a mentorship for artists because I
That's
don't
what I'm hearing.
yeah,
Mhm.
because if I'm an independent company, I'm not Universal, I'm not Sony, so like I know my limitations. But within that, if I can teach them how to protect themselves as artists,
Mhm.
not only on the business side, but like even since for the context of this conversation, their mental health, then I feel like I did my job. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
obviously there's financial aspects to it, but um, with that aside, like I that motivates me to just
Mhm.
keep going. Yeah.
So is that kind of like the same message that you share with your artists that maybe haven't been able to get to these to be able to uh not self motivate or to be able to push themselves? Are these some kind of some of the similar messages that you share with them?
When there's an opportunity, yeah, but like I give them space.
Mhm.
Creatives, artists of all kinds, I believe, work off of energy, and
Mhm.
energy takes up space.
Mhm.
And I feel like I'm pretty good with people, at least the people that I care about. If
Mhm.
I hope that doesn't sound bad, but uh, like I feel like I can read when an artist needs their space now, right? And when I feel that, I give it to them.
Mhm.
But when I see an opening for me to help them get out of whatever difficult time or whatever thing they're dealing with, I feel like I most of the time have earned the right to say those things or share my thoughts
Right.
on a personal level, right? Because I make myself very accessible to artists. We're on
Mm.
WhatsApp, we're texting all day, we're
Mhm.
joking, and that's important for me in the company and the type of environment that I want to create. So,
Mhm.
um, but like on a business side, when we're building strategy, I definitely try to set realistic expectations. And I feel like a lot of artists don't have that early on, and that leads to the difficult things that I mentioned earlier. So,
Right. Yeah,
yeah.
even like disappointment or whatnot that it may not be
Mhm,
happening in the way that they envisioned.
mhm, mhm,
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. So switching gears a little bit, because I'm kind of thinking about some of the work that I've seen you do. And I've noticed a lot about like you bring in a lot of cultural aspects from your cultural heritage. Can you share a little bit about what are some of these projects that you've been releasing? I believe I saw like a documentary, if I'm
mhm.
not mistaken, maybe like last year at some point.
Yeah, we in 2018, um, I and a bunch of other people, like I can't even take credit with it, like take credit for it by myself. It was like a collective effort. It's a documentary series, but we only have one episode right now because COVID. We weren't able to continue production. So
Okay.
the goal is a series. It's called Somos Arte, and it's focused on the contemporary art culture in El Salvador. So we went out there and we
Ah,
filmed. We were in San Salvador with a production crew, and we were filming and interviewing a bunch of artists. And we were just trying to get a sense of like tell us what's going on right now, like what are the challenges you're facing, and what are some of the things you have to overcome in your market. Now that's all cool and that sounds like reporting, but the documentary aspect was we wrote the first episode from the perspective of a Salvadoran American going to El Salvador for the first time in 20 years, which is something that a lot of people can relate to in the United
mhm,
States, in the American
mhm,
diaspora,
mhm.
because we're still in a generation following the Civil War. So a lot of people were like very hesitant to go back because there's
Right.
a lot of conversations about safety
Yeah.
and gangs, and it's all valid. But what we wanted to accomplish with this project was to show people, show the world, not just Salvadorans, that you can go to El Salvador and you can have fun and you can be safe. And along the way, you can listen to good music and go to art exhibits. You can go to vegan cafes in San Benito. Like, so
Wow.
we're trying to expand people's perception of a country that's totally like dragged here in the United States of America. Like, I feel like the
Mhm.
media takes every opportunity to step on Central America, El Salvador, and just like hyper focus on some of the things that they haven't been able to overcome. You know what I mean? So,
Right. Yep.
um, big objective. um,
Wow.
yeah, but yeah.
Wow, I'm like hearing what you're sharing, and it sounds like such an amazing project. Where did that idea even come from?
Well, I'm Salvadoran American, right? So, and I'm a proud Salvadoran American. And but like that energy, I've never been able to do anything with. And it was like one random day, I was because like when I listen to music, when I'm trying to scout music, I'm just
Mhm.
everywhere. Like the internet is a big place, so there's a ton of music there. And I
Mhm.
remember sitting there thinking, like, this doesn't feel good. This is not what I want. So I Googled
Mhm.
indie music in El Salvador, and I found an article about some people that were like backpacking through Central America, and they started naming all these artists that I'd never heard of. So I went down another rabbit hole.
Uh-huh.
And then I
Uh-huh.
reached out to these people and we built a relationship working remotely. And like now I talk to them every day. They're like, they're an extension of what I do. And uh, they've been a part of the process the entire time because it's their story. You know, we
Mhm.
wanted to make it half and half. Like, we want to bring our American perspective, but we
Mhm.
need you to bring your Salvadoran perspective and forget about trying to like impress us. Just be honest with
Yeah.
us. We'll meet you
Uh-huh.
halfway. You know, so
Yeah.
that was very
Yeah. No,
important.
yeah, like no assimilating, just gonna be who
Yeah,
they naturally are.
yeah.
So while you were out there, was there anything that was surprising for you to see?
To see, no. I wasn't really surprised by anything. Maybe the food. Some of the food was very interesting. If anyone's
Okay.
listening and is Salvadorian, like, you're doing yourself a disservice if you're only eating traditional cuisine when you go to El Salvador, because there's a lot of
Oh.
culinary like innovation happening down there, and
Uh-huh.
there's a lot of resources. The seafood down there, the water's fantastic. Uh, so there's a lot of like creative things in the food. Um,
Mhm.
so that was probably the most interesting thing that I noticed. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, thinking about this project and this docu-series, how you mentioned it is like it just sounds like such a powerful way to share about a country in a different light.
Hmm.
It's true, there's often stigma surrounding our Latin American countries. And so being able to focus on how this can be a really great place where you can go and explore and learn more than just like what we see in the media. So it's really cool that you like were able to bring this to life.
Yeah, it's
That's awesome.
it has been the most rewarding thing because I
Mm.
am Salvadoran. Because I had heard. I went one time when I was 7 years old, and then I didn't go back till I went to film this documentary. So it was a big gap. I was actually living the story that we wrote, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of people can relate, so it's not exclusive to me. So I didn't feel
Hmm.
selfish, you know. But
Hmm.
so gratifying, so rewarding
Hmm.
to be able to have my feet on the ground in the soil where my parents grew up and had to
Yeah.
leave, you know,
Hmm.
and to be able like help these artists who are essentially on the same wavelength as I am when it comes
Hmm.
to the whole music and creative world. So
Hmm.
it felt like it's like, you know, you could be in another country and you can just plug in your phone. Well, maybe not every country, and you can just plug in your phone and start charging your phone because there's
Uh-huh.
power everywhere. I felt like I went in there and I plugged right in and I got so much like juice, and it just it's been the most rewarding thing I probably have ever done. Yeah.
Wow, wow. You mentioned your parents, and if you feel comfortable in sharing, I'm curious to know
Mm.
how they felt about you going and even doing
I mean, they
this.
were a little worried, I guess, but they were mostly cool about it. Um, prior to that, we ran some like crowdfunding campaigns, and that was just a whole thing, right? And one of our team members from San Salvador was in Mexico. She was in Mexico City for a convention, and she was like, "Hey, I would love to just go to LA right after this and help you guys." And we are like, "Hell yeah, come on down." So she came
Mhm.
by and she stayed in my apartment, and like I was able to introduce her to like my parents. I just felt like that was important. I don't know why, but I wouldn't do that with. I haven't done that with all the other people I work with, but I just felt like that was important, and it
Uh-huh.
was just so interesting to see someone who was my age talking to my
Mhm.
parents about like things that they know so well, like
Oh,
playas and little specific like parts of the country that I have no idea about. And I felt
yeah.
like that kind of helped them be like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like he's working with people who are not like bad people, and that's very interesting.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know. I felt like that kind of helped. Yeah.
Yeah, and definitely also like bringing their story to life in many ways. Because
Yeah.
like they were sharing with her about their experiences, things that they've lived, and she's like relating, and then you're going and bringing
Yeah.
this to life through film.
Yeah.
So
It was
it's
just
all
crazy.
super.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, it was just crazy. Like I'm just, it's wild. It's
Yeah.
wild. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like all these intersections, and it's really cool to see how they all it all like how it all comes together.
Yeah.
So Eric, knowing that this is like I'm always curious to know about how mental health plays a role here. So how do you notice that music helps you, or like the work that you do helps you just even manage everyday life, especially just with COVID and how the last like 14 plus months have been for us?
This is probably not gonna sound healthy, but I really leaned into work this last year. Um,
Okay.
like live events were gone, right? And
Yeah.
I just kind of felt like, whoa, wait a second. Like, I don't know what this is gonna look like, but I have to be resilient and
Mhm.
find a way to break through and find opportunities. Not to sound like tone deaf, you know what I mean? All while understanding what was happening globally and even like here in the States with the Black Lives Matter movement. That was all very important. And all those things were very challenging to digest and see. And then we had that presidency that I am
Mhm.
forever grateful is gone.
Mhm.
And but I like it goes back to like what I said earlier. Like I really, really love this, and like grit. While some people might argue that is a privilege, and there's some truth to that. I consider myself a very gritty person, and
Mhm.
I saw it as a challenge that I wasn't gonna run away from, and that kind of helped me. Uh,
Mhm.
I know that doesn't sound really healthy, and I understand that, but at the same time, I have my hobbies that I can
Okay.
always go into when I just want to
Uh-huh.
shut down and just do something else. I have
Uh-huh.
those, and whether that be riding my bike, whether that be just
Mhm.
going to grab a donut, leaving my phone at
Mhm.
home, or playing with like sports cards or like digging through sports cards, like I have my hobbies that are completely disconnected, and those are what keep me like balanced, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely like all part of it.
Hmm.
And whatever works for you, like, yeah, maybe it's healthy, maybe it's not related to work, but it's whatever makes sense for you,
Hmm.
is what I think. Like,
Yeah.
I'm pretty big on like just sitting in silence or having
Mm.
like very low music if I have it on, because all day being kind of with people, it's like I need nothing at all.
Mhm.
And like what you said about leaving the phone at home, I love doing that.
Yeah.
Is it just not having it's so distracting. So like if I'm
So
walking
distracting.
Yeah, when I'm walking my dog and then I'm getting calls or texts and I'm like trying to multitask and I just want to enjoy my walk. And so it feels so much better when it's not, there ringing and distracting us.
Yeah. Going on walks actually is something that I've really embraced this last year.
Hmm.
Um, and s- like drinking tea is also
Hmm.
something that I've always done, but like I did it way more last year.
Hmm.
CBD teas, like I don't know, I know this is kind of like in the medical field, so I don't really want to like promote that if it doesn't work for everyone, but I drink
Hmm.
CBD teas and those have been very helpful as well, actually.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Does it help like just kind of like calm and soothe you?
It
Is
does,
that
yeah,
what?
it does.
Yeah,
It
that's
does.
awesome.
Yeah. I don't know. Like some people argue that it's all mental, but I don't know. I warm up some peppermint CBD tea and I'm chill.
Yeah. Well, I actually started giving my dog CBD oil, like
Mm.
drops, because she was having like some joint pain. She was like
Oh yeah,
limping
yeah,
out of
yeah.
nowhere. And maybe it's not mental because how would she know what I'm giving her? And
Did,
now
did,
she's like fine, like nothing.
yeah, that's awesome. I hear that CBD is really good for a lot of reasons. I mean, I'm not here to promote CBD, whatever, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Whatever works for people. Well, Eric, before we like wrap up for today, where can people find you, learn more about you and the projects that you're working on?
Um, on Instagram, it's at Normandie Records. You can visit normandierecords.com and you can find just pretty much any kind of content or any social media there. Normandierecords.com. We're on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. There's
Hmm.
always a ton of content coming out, and there's a couple of musical releases in May that I'm very excited for. So,
Ooh.
yeah, I hope you guys enjoy that if you get a chance to hear it.
Awesome, awesome. Before we wrap up, any concerts that you have lined up that you're gonna go to? Because I know everybody's like kind of getting hyped for concerts in 2022.
I haven't thought of concerts like that.
Okay.
I don't know if they're that. I can't wait for the Hollywood Bowl to open. Like,
Yes,
I'm really looking forward to that because
yes.
it's outdoors. It's like meant for a situation like this. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. I don't think they released their schedule yet, right? Or at all.
I don't think so, but
Yeah.
somebody was telling me recently about the Hollywood Bowl, so there must be some talk somewhere because it's not the first time that I hear that the Hollywood Bowl should be opening soon.
I hope so. That's one of the best venues in LA,
Hmm.
and like I said, very suited for a cautionary type of environment. So
Hmm.
that I'm looking forward to. But I don't know. Full disclosure here. I actually don't like big crowds to begin with.
Uh-huh.
So
Uh-huh.
so this isn't anything new. This isn't like a COVID thing. It's just I just don't like big crowds. Yeah, yeah.
Wait, what about like concerts in the park? Do you enjoy those? Much more
Um,
like picnic style or something?
I like when I go to a concert, I need to have my space. Like I can't
Uh,
be with the crowd.
uh-huh.
I don't know. I don't like it. I'm not claustrophobic or anything, but it's not something
Yeah.
I enjoy very much. Yeah.
Yeah, no, no, I get you. I get
Mhm.
you. Um, I can relate to certain points. Like sometimes I really, really like it, but then I need like my alone time to just kind of like recharge and then feel like better.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what it is. I like people. I like people. I like talking with people. Like what we're doing right now. Like I could do all day.
Mm-hmm.
Even small groups. It's just like I don't know what it is. Yeah.
Well, well, I hopefully the Hollywood Bowl will be opening up soon then, so we can
Yeah,
enjoy some
hopefully,
fun
hopefully.
outside.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Are
Well,
you going to do you like Bad Bunny? Are you a Bad Bunny fan?
so I am a Bad Bunny fan, but I did not buy the $2,000 tickets.
Dude, why are they so expensive? Actually, I know why, but
Why?
that's
Tell us,
ridiculous.
because I'm wondering why.
Someone told me, someone who works in the live music industry told me that they implemented a surge pricing, kind of like Uber. Um, so
Uh,
as there was more demand in that window, the price just like skyrocketed.
oh wow.
I don't think that's cool, but I was told that that's what they implemented. So I don't know.
So I'm really curious in situations like this. could the artist come in and say, "Hey, I don't want this. Like, bring it down. Like, this is not cool."
Not necessarily. In most cases, when you're an artist as big as Bad Bunny, like you're under like obviously I don't know, but like you're probably under contractual obligation with a certain company who owns these venues, right? Like Live Nation is a big
Mhm.
company who owns a lot of venues.
Mhm.
It's mostly when you're independent where you can have a say on how much your audience or your consumers pay for your products. But I imagine that Bad Bunny would rather take a big advance from a Live Nation or some or whatever promoter, and
Mhm.
you have to be okay with that.
Damn. Yeah, because I was wondering, like, I was thinking if I was Bad Bunny and I saw this, knowing who my fans are, I would bring it down to like normal prices. So I
Yeah,
guess it's not up to him.
that's very noble of you. I don't. No,
Why, thank you.
I agree. I think that's absurd. Like, no ticket price should ever be that much unless you're singing to me one on one. Like, we better be in the VIP room and you have a private concert for me for that price. But uh,
Seriously.
with that being said, though, I think the live music industry took a huge hit last year. A lot of people lost their jobs.
Mhm.
So I think there are going to be some efforts to try to recoup that because they really, really suffered a lot. And I know I just said that I'm not looking forward to concerts, but I'm looking forward to concerts coming back because a
Uh-huh.
lot of people are out of work still.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. That's very, very true. So I am a Bad Bunny fan, and I saw him 2 years ago when I was still living in New York City, and I think the ticket was maybe like $100, maybe 150.
It's still a lot.
Um, but I mean, in comparison to,
4,000.
2000, yeah, it's ridiculous. So to your question, I am a Bad Bunny fan, but I did not buy those tickets.
Bad Bunny's cool. Bad Bunny's,
Yeah,
yeah.
I really like how progressive he is in the messages that he sends within his music.
Yeah, I mean, as long as his intention is good, like, uh, but like I'm talking about the music side.
Hmm.
He's totally where he should be as far as like
Hmm.
success. I think he's really good.
Hmm. Hmm. All right. Well, any final words, messages for people watching us or listening to us?
Just be kind to artists. If your friend releases a song or something, just listen to it. Just say,
Uh,
hey, keep it up.
yeah.
That's all they
That's,
want sometimes. They
yeah.
don't. Just be kind. That's all.
I like that. Be kind. Well, everybody, thank you so much for being here, watching us, or listening to us. Please subscribe, rate, leave a message, comment, and thank you for being here. And thank
Yeah,
you, Erick,
listen.
for being here as well.
Congratulations on this podcast, by the way. This is awesome. I completely I spaced out. Congrats. This is great. No, this is fantastic. This is we need more of this. Um, especially from the Latinx perspective. This is
Yeah,
fantastic. So thank you for starting this podcast, and I wish you nothing but success in this. This is
thank
super awesome.
you. I appreciate it. It's definitely like vulnerable moments being here, but this is what it's all about. So I'm here for it.
It's all right. We're all vulnerable, right? It's okay.
Right? I know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Erick. And thank you to those that are watching us or listening to us. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.
See you. Bye.
Bye.